Okay, so welcome to my video blog. So if you're here watching, welcome. So I'm Haley, I'm a graphic designer here at Tribu Creative, and I do all kinds of stuff here. I have my hands in pretty much about anything you can think of as a graphic designer. So this year I have more opportunities to do more videography, and so I wanted to challenge myself this year to learn as much animation as I possibly could. Typically in the past, I've spent a few months learning motion graphics and it just didn't stick, so I just decided to commit an entire year learning all the tutorials that I possibly could. So here is what I committed to and did throughout the year. Morphing letters in After Effects, Blender basics, video editing in Photoshop. I had no idea this was a thing, but it was extremely useful for creating some really cool colorized video. We had a project that had some really cool liquefied backgrounds, so that was cool to learn. Highly recommend. Scrolling text path in After Effects. This one was fun just to kind of have some movement in our graphics for our social media. For Q2, I did some Blender type animation. That was really cool, learning some 3D stuff. Blender HDRIs. It was at this point I had to upgrade my computer because it was beginning to overheat, and I maxed out the computer processing speed, and if I had to do a render it would take 1,000 years or something. And then also kind of around this time I began to realize that I need to be in After Effects a little bit more than 3D, because I think the work that I was working on was a little more relevant. But even though it was my desire to work on 3D animation, it still kind of helped round out my knowledge and also vocabulary of what I needed to learn in each of these programs. So then I went back to watching top 20 actually useful effects in After Effects. Highly recommend that one. And then motion tracking in camera. At this point it was July and I was getting really good at identifying which program I needed to use in order to get the desired results. Usually when you're beginning anything new, you're kind of figuring out what's the best workflow, and at this point I was starting to figure that out, which is really exciting because that means I was getting a little faster. And my timelines were getting a little more, I guess tighter. Also, this was a really exciting section of time because I had to create a fully vectorized animation with one of my team members, Christopher, and this was really exciting because we had to create a timeline, we had a really good storyboard and blah 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 blah. It worked out really well, so that was really exciting. All that knowledge I had built up previously in the year had kind of accumulated to this one big animation project, and we were able to share ideas and make it happen, so that was really cool. So for the rest of Q3, I worked on vector animation. This is probably where I spent most of my time learning animation. A lot of what we do here, or as a designer, you are constantly designing probably in Adobe Illustrator, creating logos and whatnot, and then it's nice to kind of add some more character to the branding that you're working on. And so you translate that to vector animation. Also, the next one I worked on was really fun. I made a Snapchat filter. That was a whole nother program. It was a kind of a combination of smashing together Photoshop elements that you make for fun with a 3D program that Snapchat had created themselves. So that was kind of cool to learn, and it was actually a lot easier than I expected. They have a really cool intuitive platform. I also learned how to use proxies. If you are an editor in Premiere, you should totally learn how to do this because it helps you edit really quickly, because your program will slow down if you don't know how to use proxies. So thank you team members for showing me that tutorial. The next one is applying filters in Premiere. This one I'm still kind of learning. It's kind of confusing. I've been really into After Effects, and the way Premiere does it is a little different, but that one I think I need to probably learn some more on. And then also color grading in Premiere, making things give them a cool tone and whatnot. So that's my year so far. Overall, I think It would be probably helpful if I focused maybe on like just 2 programs versus like diving into 3D and then Premiere and After Effects and kind of doing all of them at the same time. But I still think it was valuable to learn 3D animation a little bit just because I had the vocabulary and knew kind of what was possible within like my certain skill set and like knowledge. Anyway, can you learn animation in a year? Yes and no. I've learned the flow and the efficiencies, which is great. But I always have to learn new things as my imagination blasts off into space, and it takes any kind of amount of time to learn and hone your craft. If you're a fellow creative, I've listed all of the tutorials down below. And if you're someone who wants to partner with us and start a project, reach out. We would love to, hear from you, and maybe we can make something really, really cool. Keep an eye out for more shenanigans on our Instagram and our website. That's kind of where all our work lives right now, and it's kind of fun to give us a follow and just see like what fun stuff that we're up to. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was fun to listen to, and see you around. No. More takes.
You guys are great.
I feel like I'm talking really fast.
No, you got it.
Okay.